Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, and we're also going to stick to my home county of Skåne here in the very south of the country. For this review we're going back to a brewery that you've seen me review numerous beers from before, and these guys are one that I've been really impressed with since I moved to Sweden and first encountered them. And for this particular review we're going to go and have a look at another beer from one of the series that I've really enjoyed over the last little while. So for this one then, as I say, we're going to Helsingborg to have a look at another beer from Brewski Mikrobryggeri, and this is one of the latest installments from the Pie series, which are their kind of very nice and fruity Berliner Weisses. So this particular beer is called the Dragonfruit Pie. It comes in at 4% this time, and this one is a Berliner Weisse with Dragonfruit, Passionfruit, strawberries and vanilla. So this particular beer was released on the 1st of August 2020 as part of the Lokal och Småskaligt assortiment. This is the fourth beer I'm going to try in this series. This month they also released the Raspberry Pie, and the review of that one has already published. Before that I had the Strawberry Pie and also the Triple Berry Pie. And this month as well, in August, they also released the Hawaiian Tropical Pie as part of one of the Tillfälligt assortments as well, and you will see that review coming up a little bit later. So a good number of Brewski beers for you being reviewed this month actually, along with the Triple Nipple, Triple IPA, which you will see later as well. So yeah, it just kind of happens that sometimes certain breweries just do a lot of releases in one month that are very interesting. But when it comes to Dragonfruit, I have to say I've never tried it before. So a little bit of research told me that Dragonfruit, it's also known as pitaya, but it is the fruit of various kind of cactus species, and it's native to the Americas. So yeah, this is one, as I say, that just piqued my interest because it is something a little bit more unusual. And the whole point of the channel, of course, was for me to kind of document my education, if you like, on beer. So yeah, really curious to see how this one turns out. I've enjoyed the other beers that I've had in this series. It's difficult to pick a favourite actually. I think the Triple Berry was really nice, the Strawberry was nice, and the Raspberry was nice. They're all, you know, kind of quite different actually, so I'm really curious to see what this particular installment has in store for us. And Brewski, like I say, is one of my probably one of my favourite Swedish craft breweries, and they always put out some interesting stuff. So definitely one of the Swedish breweries that I would recommend you guys watching outside of Sweden have a go at if you get the chance. But yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brewski Mikrobryggeri before, and you will see more from these guys in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there too. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewski Mikrobryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I've told you before, Brewski Mikrobryggeri were founded back in 2014, and they're based in Helsingborg in the northwestern part of Skåne here in the very south of the country. Very beautiful part of the country actually, and one that I really do recommend, a place that I really recommend you check out if you find yourself in Scandinavia. But the founders of this company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Bridson, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund, and all of these guys were largely inspired to start their own brewery after they tried the West Coast American craft beers. Marcus is the main man with the brewing side of things. He was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer, which was brewed at the Höganäs Brewery on the Kullaberg Peninsula to the northwest of Helsingborg. And all of those beers are still brewed there, from what I understand. But the Brewski beers were originally brewed up there, but they now have their own brewery in the train yard just to the south of the central station in Helsingborg. And this brewery apparently has a capacity to brew around 100,000 litres of beer per month, but I'm not sure if they're using all of that capacity yet actually. But in 2016 they also started their own beer festival called Brewskival, which I think is one of the best ones that you're going to find in Scandinavia. Definitely worth a visit, and I've filmed a couple of festival videos for you there over the last couple of years. But they had over 40 different breweries present in the first year, and this has continued to expand year on year. They also used to open up their brewery once a month for a bar night, which was called Barski, but they now have their own bar in the city itself. which opened up in 2018 if I remember correctly. If you go there, you can try ramen, of course, but it's not authentic Japanese ramen, it's a more a kind of reimagining of it. The chef that's in there is American, and he's got his own take on it, and I have to say it is very, very nice, and that's coming from someone who obviously has good family ties in Japan. I really enjoyed his ramen, so definitely worth checking out, I would say. But they are also at the moment brewing some beer with Tampa Bay Brewing Company in Florida in the States, so that they can get their IPAs and things well known over there. They're also looking to open up another bar in Oslo in Norway, and Marcus also has a distribution company up there now which is called Brewski, and they import the beers of several Swedish breweries into Norway. I'm not sure if they put them into Vinmonopolet, which is the Norwegian equivalent of Systembolaget, but yeah, Brewski are importing a lot of different Swedish breweries into Norway, of course, which is pretty damn cool. I wish we had someone that was doing it the opposite way. I'd love to see more of the very small Norwegian breweries making it down here to Sweden, because we don't get all that many of them actually. But over the course of 2019, these guys produced 500,000 litres of beer per year, and as of August 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, they've produced in the region of 300 different kinds of beer. So yeah, out of those 300 beers, probably my favourite one that I've ever had was Conan the Barbarian. You know, these guys, they were, when I first encountered them, they were very well known for the big kind of fruity New England IPAs. The Fever series, of course, is very well known throughout Europe these days. Probably the thing that they're best known for, actually, come to think of it. But yeah, they're very good at the fruity IPAs, the New England IPAs, but more recently they've been focusing a little bit more on the kind of Berliner Weisses like this, and they've also been releasing a number of pastry stouts as well, actually. So you've got the pie series and you've got the cake series. The cake series are the imperial stouts, the pie series are the kind of Berliner Weisses. I'm not sure if you can refer to these as pastry sours, but yeah, they're very nice and very sweet Berliner Weisses actually. There's many breweries in Sweden these days actually that are very capable when it comes to the Berliner Weisse style of beer actually, and Brewski are one of the ones that I really would recommend you check out if that is your thing. But yeah, a really nice brewery, this one. Hopefully I can feature these guys on a Meet the Brewery segment at some point. I think, you know, it'd be cool to get Marcus and Robin. Actually, I think those guys are the two most active out of the founders in the company these days. It'd be cool to get those guys on for a Meet the Brewery interview. So I'll need to contact them and see about that, because they did. I think it might have been Marcus. I think I spoke to him at one point about it, you know, many years ago, and he did seem interested at the time. But it's just, again, something that I didn't really get around to. But they are nice guys at Brewski. I've spoken to a couple of the founders before, and they are very, very nice guys, so fingers crossed we can make that happen in the future. But yeah, definitely one of the Swedish breweries that I highly recommend that you check out. But yeah, that's all I've got to tell you about Brewski Mikrobryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. This one is of course very similar to the other beers in the pie series. They've always just got a picture of the kind of cake, if you like, the sort of pie slice on them. There you can see on the corner there is the little Mr. Brewski dude that you'll find on all of the Brewski beers, and there you can see there is the kind of data part of the label, if you like, the Dragonfruit Berliner Weisse. So yeah, this one should be really quite nice actually. But yeah, 4% Berliner Weisse, this one. This one is brewed with Dragonfruit, Passionfruit, strawberries and vanilla. So yeah, it should be pretty damn nice actually. I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. But yeah, 330ml can, this one. Brewski, of course, when they started canning their beers, they started using these little Red Bull sized cans actually, which was pretty cool. So yeah, let's get this guy out then and we will get on with the tasting. Really curious, as I say, to see how this one turns out. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 4% Berliner Weisse, so the alcohol content of these beers does tend to vary a little bit depending on what one it is. I think some of them I've had have been like 3.8, some of them have been 4.5. So yeah, I guess it just depends on what fruit they're using and how creamy they feel the Berliner Weisse has got to be. But this one, it says, has wheat, oats and lactose in it. So this one I think should be pretty damn creamy actually. So yeah, looks pretty interesting. That's definitely one of the more orangey looking Berliner Weisses that I've kind of come across actually. It reminds me, how would you even describe that colour? If you shine the light through this, it's a really, I don't even know how to describe the colour of that one. It's orange, you know, it's straight up orange there. You can see with this beer there was about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head that was on top of this beer. That's just faded away to leave a kind of thin foamy layer and a bit of a ring around the edge of it. But yeah, it does look pretty nice. You can see there's one or two bits of sediment floating around in this one. That will just be bits of wheat notes and things, because this beer has been in the fridge a little bit since I got it. Too many beers to review, and this one did have to sit for a little bit longer. But yeah, it looks pretty damn interesting, I have to say. I don't think I've ever had a beer that is this colour, come to think of it. But yeah, you can see one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. But you know, in terms of a fruited Berliner Weisse, you know, this isn't unexpected. You will get them being really random colours like this. You'll get blue ones, you'll get purple ones, bright red ones, but yeah, I think this is the first orange one that I've come across actually. So yeah, let's have a look at the aroma of this one then and see how we go on. But I will say this isn't the strangest colour of beer that I've had from Brewski. I did have one that was green. I forget the name of it now, but yeah, there was a beer that Brewski did maybe about, I think it was one of the last ones that they did in bottles actually, and it was green, which I just did not expect. But yeah, let's have a look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. Really curious about this. Oh yeah, I mean, straight away with this one, you get that big kind of candied Berliner Weisse note out of it. You can smell the smooth kind of wheat underneath, but the lactose and the big oaty notes come out of this. The vanilla is straight in there as well. So straight away for me, it's got that lovely kind of sweet. I love vanilla. I really do love vanilla in stouts or whatever. Vanilla ice cream, vanilla and mint ice cream for me. Love it. But yeah, straight away with this one you get that lovely kind of big oaty creaminess. You can get the lactose out of it, and you get just that lovely kind of vanilla bean, vanilla pod type aroma out of this beer. You can smell a little bit of the stronger kind of wheaty notes towards the back of the nose, but really, as I say, the aroma of this beer just comes across as very, very kind of smooth and creamy actually. I do like how this one, I do like how the aroma of this beer goes together. Really, really nicely done. I could sit and smell these Berliner Weisses. I think I say this every time I have one of these beers from the Pie series. I could sit and smell these all day. For me, the Berliner Weisse, it's not the most complex of beer styles in terms of its aroma or its flavour profile, but if it's well crafted, you know, you are always in for a treat with these things. But this one does have a fair little bit of complexity to it on the fruity side of things. So yeah, for me, the dragon fruit in this one, as I say, it's something I've never tried, but it strikes me as being almost very juicy, like strawberries are. But it's just got like almost a wee touch of a kind of raspberry type sharpness to it, if that makes sense. That's the main kind of note that I'm getting out of this one. What fruits did it say it had again? So it says it's got dragon fruit, passion fruit, and strawberries. So yes, I'm not surprised I'm getting strawberries out of it if there are strawberries in there. I don't get so much of the passion fruit, to be honest with you. There is a wee bit of it there, but it seems to be that the oats and the kind of lactosey side of the beer, they really push it back a little bit. And it seems to just, to me, it seems to be more the strawberries I'm getting actually. So yeah, it's got a very kind of candied sort of strawberries and cream type aroma to the backbone, this beer. But yeah, the dragon fruit, I think the dragon fruit's what's given this beer most of the tartness that's coming out of it. It's a very sharp note. It's almost got a little bit of it's almost like a combination of the kind of tartness you'd expect from raspberries and the slight juiciness that you'll get, but it's also just got a wee touch of zestiness to it as well, which is quite interesting. So yeah, the aroma that you get out of this is really interesting. It's got a lovely little bit of sharpness to it, but then for the most part behind that, it's quite, you know, it's really quite juicy. And very, it's really quite juicy and just very, very sweet actually. So yeah, I like the way that everything kind of goes together in this one. Thumbs up to Brewski for the aroma here. This beer, I don't think, does this actually have some hops in it? It's got a wee bit of a kind of grassy vibe to it, but yeah, no, this one doesn't have any hops in it from what they're saying on here. So yeah, some breweries like to put a little bit of hop in their Berliner Weisse, others don't. Brewski, from what I remember, tend not to do it. So yeah, but you do get still a little bit of grassy vibe coming out of this one. The traditional German Berliner Weisses, of course, will have a little bit of Hallertau or Tettnanger or something in them, just the low alpha acid German hops. But yeah, the aroma of this beer I think is really nice. As I say, never tried Dragonfruit or Pitaya or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck into it, because you are always in for a treat from this pie series at Brewski, and it's got a lovely kind of creamy sweetness to it. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. So this one is the Dragonfruit pie, coming in at 4% ABV, a Berliner Weisse with Dragonfruit, Pitaya, whatever you want to call it, Passionfruit, strawberries and lactose and vanilla added to the brew. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. Ooh, that is nice. I would say compared to the other ones that I've had so far, this one is this one's definitely a little bit sharper, I think, than the other ones that I've had in this series so far. I'm surprised, because normally you would expect that from raspberry, but there is a little bit of a kind of puckering quality just lingers in the flavour here. That's interesting. Oh yeah, yeah. This one's definitely just a wee touch more puckering than the other ones that I've had from these guys before. But I like this. I really do like how this one goes together. Thumbs up to the guys at Brewski for this. This one, it actually doesn't feel quite as thick and creamy. But yeah, I'm just checking on the can, there is no sediment in there. This one doesn't strike me as quite as thick and creamy as some of the other ones that I've had in the pie series. This one is a bit more juicy actually. So that's an interesting point to make about this beer as well. It could have been that it's just been sitting in the fridge a little too long, because yeah, no, it does seem in pretty good nick, but this one definitely doesn't come across as quite as thick and creamy as the other ones I've had before. I can't remember what percentage. It might have been that with the slightly higher alcohol there was more oats and slightly more lactose and stuff in it, but you know, regardless, it is a really nice Berliner Weisse once again. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this one a little bit and just you know, just kind of explain it. So straight away with this beer you can feel that nice kind of smooth white bready wheaty quality that blankets the middle of your palate. When you go towards the back third of the tongue, it's got a nice kind of slightly thicker white bready note to it. There's one or two little elements of kind of spicy note coming out from the wheat, I think, but that's very, very minimal. The kind of lactose is really smoothing out the whole middle of your palate. But as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, towards the front of that, that's where you get the main part of the kind of oaty creaminess coming out of the beer. You do get a little touch of, you know, the vanilla kind of sits there right in the middle of the palate, but I think the vanilla becomes a little bit more apparent the further you go into the aftertaste there. The vanilla and the lactose are really, there's a sort of antagonistic kind of thing going on there, and they're really kind of working together. But the way that this beer evolves, it does evolve to be a little bit more kind of, to have a bit more of an almost creamy and yogurty type vibe to it. So this Berliner Weisse does have a good bit of contrast to it, in my opinion. The fruitiness, the very edge of your tongue, I think, stays quite sour and a little touch puckering, whereas the middle of your palate is really quite smooth and just a little bit more candied. So this is a beer that's got a little bit more kind of contrast to it, I think, than the other ones. The other ones did have the kind of sourness to it, but then it kind of, I remember them becoming a little bit more kind of juicy and smooth, if you like, whereas this one really retains just a little bit of that kind of puckering sharpness, if you like. So yeah, interesting kind of, you know, an interesting take on the style of this one. So that's the Dragonfruit, must just have a really kind of sharp tart quality to it. I need to try it on its own actually. I need to see if I can get some pitaya somewhere and try it. Yeah, Yeah, it's really interesting, this one. It's difficult to kind of explain the flavour, if you like. But yeah, you do. The thing that you'll always get when you add fruit into the beers, this one doesn't have hops in it right enough, you do get a little bit of a grassy vibe around the kind of front edge of your tongue, and I think that's a little bit of kind of placebo effect, you know. You're used to drinking lagers and blah 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 IPAs, you always get the hops around the edge of the tongue in my mind, the green side of the hops, but yeah, you'll always get the fruit. Whenever you add fruit to the brew, it always suppresses a little bit of the IBUs and the flavours come out around the edge of the tongue. And it's just interesting because that very sharp flavour, which I'm assuming is from the dragon fruit, is really sitting just on the kind of edge of the tongue actually, and I really like that about this one. I would probably guess, if I didn't know better, I probably would have guessed that there was a little bit of lemon in this one. The strawberry pie, if I remember rightly, had a little bit of lemon in it as well actually, which was a nice little touch. It gave the beer just a wee bit of zestiness, and you will notice on the very tip of your tongue this beer does have just a little bit of an almost slightly lemony zestiness. But yeah, when you take this beer in, as I say, you really get the sharpness and the kind of puckering notes from the dragon fruit straight away. I mean, I feel that I'm talking about this as if I know dragon fruit quite well, and I really don't. So just bear that in mind with this review. Take some of this stuff with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I find the dragon fruit's really quite sharp. It's got the kind of pungency of raspberries, but it's really more of it strikes me as more of a kind of tropically flavour rather than anything else. It reminds me almost a wee bit of peaches in some way, but it's got, I can't even think what to compare that to. It's very unique. I mean, it's like when I try yuzu for the first time in some of the Japanese beers. I think it was the Temple Garden yuzu, if I remember rightly, that I had from Beard Beer over in Japan that time, and it was just, you know, trying to describe exactly what it was like. So yeah, I find that the dragon fruit, it's really got the kind of sharpness and tartness of raspberries, but it's got a little bit of a kind of citrusy zest that you'd expect to like lemon or something, but at the same time it's got a bit of a tropical kind of vibe to it as well. It really is quite an interesting thing. I can see why they would want to use this in the pie series. I'd love to see them do a yuzu pie actually. That would be a really interesting one. I don't know if the guys at the brewery watch my reviews, but yeah, yuzu pie, some sort of yuzu pie would be another interesting addition to the series, so maybe we'll see that. But yeah, the fruity notes out of this are really, really nice. So yeah, the dragon fruit does dominate the flavour a little bit, and it dominates it in a more obvious way, I think, than was the case with the other ones, in fairness. Because you could pick up the other fruits quite easily in this. I mean, on the front, if you go examine that bit behind the front curve of your palate there, you do get some of the juiciness of the strawberries, but you've also got that kind of lemony type zesty quality coming out of the beer. The passion fruit, you do get a wee bit of that in the aftertaste, and it kind of it's towards the back of that kind of front third of your tongue, if you like. You do get a bit of the kind of soft passion fruity note out of the beer, and then, as I say, juicy strawberries kind of in front of that, and then a wee bit of an almost lemony zest. But the dragon fruit, I think, just kind of sits all the way around the kind of edge of the palate here. So I mean, I'd be curious to know about this, because I think what some breweries do, some of them do, is that they add, what might be the case here, what I wonder if it could be, is that they've used dragon fruit, they've used the actual dragon fruit, if that makes sense, but maybe the other flavours that are in here are derived from flavour essence, because they do have a little bit of a kind of candied type flavour to them. But some breweries will actually do that. They'll put the fruit in, but then they'll also put a bit of the kind of the fruit essence in the beers, just to kind of round them up and make the beer seem a little bit more candied. And I can see that being the case with this one. I would wonder if the passion fruit and the strawberry notes in this, maybe there is a bit of both fruits in the beer, but I do suspect there might be a little touch of flavour essence in this one, just to kind of blend it in a little bit. But the dragon fruit, most definitely, the pungency and tartness and stuff you're getting out of the dragon fruit, I'm pretty sure that's 100% dragon fruit, you know, pure dragon fruit that's in this. You know, I'd be very curious to know, to see how they do some of these Berliner Weisses. But the more I drink of this one, I think if they are putting any flavour essence in this just to round out the fruits, it will be very, very minimal, because it really does taste, it really does, you get that kind of almost, I always call it a kind of furry vibe. You always get a little bit of that almost furry thing from the fruits that you add into it. So yeah, this one's got a really nice, the fruit is definitely got pure fruit in it, but maybe a little tiny touch of a kind of flavour essence in some of them too. But yeah, in the fruity side of things, the kind of front third of your palate, you can feel the dragon fruit just kind of sort of forming the base of the beer, and you can feel the sort of zesty, puckering-y, sour type qualities around the edge of your palate there. It almost spreads right towards the back of the tongue there. But yeah, you get a bit of the softer passion fruit towards the back of that front third of your tongue. As you move further forward, a bit of the juicy strawberry comes out, and the juicy strawberry sort of kind of builds a good bridge between the vanilla and the oaty notes that are in there behind on the middle third of your palate. So yeah, this is a really interesting beer, this one. This is definitely the quirkiest one that we've had, I think, from the pie series so far. So yeah, thumbs up to Brewski for doing something a little bit different. I'd love to see what they would do with a yuzu Berliner Weisse. I think that could be a really interesting experiment for them. But yeah, there's a lot of nice ones. The acai berries and things like that would be an interesting one too. And, you know, in fairness, I think Brewski probably are the most able brewery in Sweden when it comes to putting fruit in the beer. They've certainly got the history of it with the Fever series. But yeah, this is really nice. Thumbs up to Brewski for this one. This is definitely the most kind of puckering and sour of the pie series that I've had so far. But yeah, I think we've described the flavour pretty fully in this one. It does get sweeter and more vanilla and creamy the further you go into the aftertaste. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, then I'd say that this one's actually a bit lighter and less creamy than the other beers in the series. So maybe it's definitely a mid-bodied beer. The carbonation's very smooth. It really has quite a creamy mouthfeel to it. In terms of IBUs, you'd be lucky if you get 5 IBUs out of this one. Probably technically it's 0 IBUs, but yeah, you do get a wee. I don't think you're ever going to really get 0 IBUs in any flavour, but yeah, pretty much not a lot coming out of this one. But yeah, the malt base, as I said, very, very smooth, really quite creamy. It does get sweeter the further you go into the aftertaste. There's a nice little bit of kind of sour tartness to this beer, a good little touch of a kind of citrusy zest to it almost as well, and yeah, a little bit of juicy fruity qualities as well. So the fruitiness in this one I think is quite quirky and unusual compared to the other ones that we've had in the series so far. So yeah, if you're only able to try one of the pie series, then the Dragonfruit one I think is the one that really stands out to me so far. They've all been very, very good beers. This is the one that I think that wins the battle so far, if you like, in terms of quirkiness though. So yeah, thumbs up to Brewski Mikrobryggeri for this one, but I think we can leave it at that for the review now. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this beer. It's been interesting to try a Dragonfruit beer for the first time. This was really very quirky and a really interesting experience, so maybe there'll be more Dragonfruit sours at some point in the future. Who knows? Who knows what's going to come next from the pie series at Brewski as well. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. As always, you know, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brewski. Let me know what your favourite beers in the pie series are as well. But we will return to these guys at some point soon. This particular beer was the Dragonfruit Pie, Berliner Weisse, coming in at 4% ABV with Dragonfruit, Passionfruit, strawberries and vanilla added to the brew from Brewski Mikrobryggeri in Helsingborg here in Skåne in the very south of Sweden. Lovely beer, this one, and definitely one of the Swedish breweries that I recommend that you check out. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Slanje, skål, make sure you check out Brewski Mikrobryggeri from Helsingborg. Cheers.